Okay, we are going to make edible glitter. You need plastic wrap, a shallow dish. I'm just using my bread dish. 2 packets of gelatin, your edible metallic food paint in whatever color you want. I'm gonna do green. 1/3 a cup of water. You can use up to a tablespoon of your food color. Just try not to use over a tablespoon. And then a brush. I just use my silicone brush because it's what I have, and it's a whole lot easier to clean because that the gelatin is going to dry up really fast on here, and it cleans off of this a whole lot easier than like a pastry brush. So I recommend the silicone brush. Alright, your water needs to be cold. I'm going to dump it into my dish. Then I'm going to sprinkle my gelatin over my water. This is going to bloom pretty quickly. You don't want to take a whole lot of time in between the 2 packs. And try not to go like up the sides of your dish. Try to keep it all fairly in there in the middle. And you'll see it's gonna get wrinkly. It's gonna absorb that gelatin. That's what we want. This process should take about 5 minutes for all of the gelatin to be absorbed into the water. Another tip. I buy the off brand of gelatin because the more expensive brand smells terrible. This doesn't really have a smell to it, but it works just as well. You can use whatever brand you want, but I find that the off brand for some reason does not smell at all compared to the other brand, and it smells just hideous. So we're just gonna keep waiting on this to fully absorb. Doesn't go anywhere, and it's all wrinkly. This little bit over here, it's okay. This is okay. What we're gonna do, microwave this for 30 seconds. Okay, we went for 30 seconds. We're gonna stir this up. Just wanna stir it around. Make sure everything is incorporated. Okay, then we're gonna go 15 more seconds. Alright, I'm gonna stir it again. Make sure everything is good and mixed together. Now we're gonna shake up our paint really well. And I'm going to do almost a tablespoon, not quite. You want to make sure you get all of that out of there. You don't want to waste any of that. And I'm going to stir it up. Smells a little bit weird, but once you get your glitter done, you're not going to be able to smell anything. So we're going to set this to the side, and I'm going to grab my plastic wrap. I put 2 sheets together, and there's a reason for that. You want to spread out your plastic, 2 sheets together, and we are going to pour this right on there. Again, try to get all of that out of there, or as much as possible. Now we're going to take a silicone brush, flatten this out a little bit, and we want to spread this pretty thin. Reason being, if it's really thick, you're not going to get the same glitter effect as you would if you had spread it really thin. If it's really thick, the light can't really work through it, so it doesn't give you the same effect. So you want to spread this out pretty thin. Try to avoid a lot of the spaces. You want to try to keep everything connected. It will start to kind of turn into more of a jello-ish mixture the longer you take to spread it. So you got to work kind of fast. I just go over it a few times until I get it spread out. See, it's starting to kind of clump on me. So I'm just making sure it's not really thick anywhere. And these little areas in the middle, it's okay. It happens. But that's it. We've got it all spread out. See how it clumped up in my brush? It'll wash really easy though because it's silicone. So we now have this on here, and you are going to let this dry overnight, and it's going to turn into a sheet of plastic. It'll start, you want to leave it flat overnight, not on anything that it really sticks to, because that will make it not dry out. What it's going to do is, as it dries, it's going to kind of slightly shrink a little bit and start releasing from the plastic. So this is why we're doing the 2 sheets. If you do 1 sheet of plastic and you get too close to the edge, it just curls up in the plastic, and then it like never dries, and it doesn't turn out as well as you want. So there you go. I'm gonna let this dry overnight. Okay, so this is the next day. I'm just going to fill all over to make sure that it has hardened up the entire surface. You will feel some parts that maybe still be like a jello consistency. That's okay, I'm going to show you what to do. I'm just going to loosen up the edges. I pull on both sides all the way down throughout the whole sheet, and then just grab a corner and start to peel it away. You may have to work with some of the little parts that have like folded into itself. That's okay. Just make sure you don't leave any plastic there. See, I'm going to pick that little part off and then work your way all the way down. And you may have to work on some little areas. Just make sure you're getting all the plastic. If you have some little pieces that stick to the plastic, that's okay. You can come back and pull those parts off. And some of the little bitty stuff I just leave, but if I can find some, you know, decent sized pieces, I'll pull those off. I'm just gonna set those aside. And now again, I know where the parts are that were not completely hardened up. And you'll feel it. It just feels like kind of a rubbery texture in your fingers. And you're just going to cut those pieces off and you set them aside. It will still harden up. It just, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But you just pull that part, set it to the side, give it another few hours. It'll harden up just like the rest of the mix. There's another one. I'm just going to cut around it. And again, like I said, this doesn't mean that you can't use it. It just needs a little more time. But usually within an hour or two, just setting out on the side, it's good to go. I'm just filling to where the softness ends, because you obviously don't want to stick that into your coffee grinder. Alright, then we're just going to cut this into strips. And just these are just my kitchen scissors. I don't use these outside of my kitchen, so they're clean. Alright, now you want to get your coffee grinder. And a tip I have for the coffee grinder is I don't actually use this coffee grinder for anything but glitter, because it leaves like a residue in there. Not really residue, but it actually leaves little pieces of the glitter. So I just, you know, brush it out really well and go on with my next color. Like I said, I don't use this particular coffee grinder for anything but my glitter. So you're just going to cut these pieces down into there into just little squares. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it down in there. Alright, now once you get it all down in there, you're going to put the lid on it and pulse it. Now, or not pulse it, I'm sorry. You're going to put the lid on it and turn it on. If it seems to not be mixing up, take the lid off and kind of press it down in there a little bit. And then go again. And you're just going to grind this up until it's pretty ground up. I think the smaller it is, the better it looks, but that's totally up to you. You can leave it chunkier, you know, like bigger flecks of it, or you can grind it all the way down. I let mine run for a while. The second tip I have is once you get it most of the way ground down, you can put it aside and work another batch of it and then combine those two batches together in there, and it will grind it down much better if there's more in there for it to grind down. So I like to get it worked in, and then start another batch, get it worked together, and then combine those two and run it through there again, and it comes out to a much better consistency that I prefer. And when you take the lid off, be careful. There will be a little bit of a dust cloud type of thing that happens. Just don't have your face right over it and breathe all that in. See that dust, and I just brush it away. See, that was some that I already had made, so I just combined that all together. Now, another thing that you can do is, if it's not as ground down as you like and you can't get it any further, I take my mortar and I work it down with that. But that's it. There's your edible glitter. It is great for so many things. Super fun. It is 100% edible. You can find all of our 100% edible metallic food paints here at everythingcakeandcookies.com.